Hey everyone, this is James. Welcome back with y'all with another episode. This is episode 12 of the Welcome Legacy Podcast. From rock bottom to the open road, how my CDL changed everything. I want to welcome back all the listeners. Last episode, I talked about addiction, losing my license, and my turning point. Today, I want to walk y'all through what rebuilding actually looked like. Quote of the day: sacrifice always shows up before success. And y'all can tune in every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Tune in on all streaming platforms for another podcast. Okay, this is where we're going to start at. We moved to Kissimmee early 2019. I think it was around like February. Um, it was the intentional environment move. I had already kind of laid back from everybody else and just let my phone go off. So kind of like in solitude mode, just me, my wife, and kids. But I was destined to become a better version of myself. I had just wholesale my first property, so I had a couple thousand in my pocket. Um, and we moved to Kissimmee. Everybody down there speaks Spanish. Everywhere you go, so should have been good for me to start learning to speak some Spanish, but I didn't do that. I was trying to do everything the right way. Walking daily, exercising daily, reading daily, just working on my mentality, man, just working on my mind and just trying to create a better version. It was a lot of pressure moving to a new environment because you don't know nobody. We didn't know nobody down there. We were just moving out of Ocala. First time really just packing up and just leaving. It was a lot of pressure. Pressure. New environment creates new options. It did. I met some of the nicest people you can meet down there in the community we was living in Point Siena. Um, like I said, I was seeking some legal paths while still struggling with myself, my mentality and stuff. I bumped into this lady online and she said, "Have you ever heard of LegalShield?" I said, "No, I never heard of LegalShield." I said, "What is it?" She said, "LegalShield is basically like a lawyer paid subscription. And they can choose from different plans and you can make some money doing it." I was like, "Oh yeah?" So it was like a marketing thing. She said, "Yeah." So I started going to these meetings, became a part of the team, and I would go to meetings and just learning more about the business. They even had me getting up there doing speeches and stuff. So I was just surrounding myself with different people that was doing a lot of different things that I was used to. So I was getting out of my comfort zone. I was looking for real path forward before everything really clicked for me. I was trying. I did that for a while, had a couple people sign up, the monthly subscription. Um, but when you're really not too interested in it, you really don't stay with it. And to me, it was kind of like all over the place. So I just fell back from that. So I was looking into a whole bunch of courses and all type of different things. And then I was like, dang, why don't I create my own course? And that's what I did. Failing forward while building. I created a course on Udemy called How to Fail Forward, teaching how to use failure as fuel while learning while failing, living the lesson that I was teaching because I was failing forward. I was teaching how to fail forward while I was failing forward. Literally. How to Fail Forward, that course was about using your failure as fuel, not giving up. I used different scenarios about like riding a bike. When we first learned how to ride a bike, how many times did you fall down? How many times did you fall down, but you got right back up because you wanted to ride that bike? A lot. Some of us don't get it the first try, the second try. Sometimes it takes 5, 10, 15 different tries, but you stand consistent and then eventually you can ride that bike. We did the same thing with our ABCs and our 1, 2, 3s. How many times did you mess up writing the A before you learned the correct pattern to write an A? How many times did you have to write a 1 or a 2 or a 3 until you got it right? How many times did you have to count them on your fingers? Be like, yeah, this is 5, this is 4. All of us had that learning curve as a young age. And it's simple process to help us better ourselves, learning how to fail forward literally because we do it every day. We fall down when you're a baby and you first learn to walk, you fall down multiple times until eventually you correct your patterns, correct themselves, and then you can walk. Okay. Let's get in career source and trucking. Okay. Career source is a basically like a government funded resource for people that's trying to go to school to get trades. You get a trade certificate. So I talked to one of my good friends, and he was like, instead of going to a trucking company, so they make you stay there with them for a year, go through Career Source, so they can pay for it for you, and you can go to any company. And I say, dang, that make a lot of sense because I really wasn't trying to be stuck to one company because I was hearing some stories about, yeah, they wasn't paying you worth this and you be gone for this and you still ain't making no money. So it was just a whole bunch of mixed reviews about the whole trucking thing. So I got in contact with them and they said, well, you gotta contact the school and we'll see if you get approved to the school. And then we'll fund the deal, but you gotta do orientation, you gotta come and get screened and all that stuff there. So I said, okay. So I started looking into different schools. There was one that was in Orlando, but it was terrible. It really was bad. I can't even think of the name of it. I don't wanna say nothing wrong. But I got in contact with TDI, a Trucker Institute. Um, got accepted with them. I had already got my permit. I got my permit back in like March of 2019. So I had 6 months, but you can get an extension if you go about your 6 months. This was about September. So I got contact with them, got in contact with the school. The school sent the paper to Career Source. Then I had to do orientation. I did orientation with Career Source and they approved everything. They had the funds. They paid for me to go to school. And we was dealing with a couple issues with the house down there. It was a two-story. At that time, we had 8 kids. I think it had like termites or something in the bottom of the wall. We was in the living room, bottom wall by the kitchen, like the whole wall had sunk in. Down there in Kissimmee, like it's hot and humid and a lot of rain. And they like the swells, the culverts under the driveway wasn't really flooded, draining the water out. So the water would just sit there. So it was like mud. It was rough. And we was moving out of that house. But I was still trying to figure out what I was gonna do with the school. So it was like it's either like a now or never situation. So I started school. I got in TDI. I got in school. We had moved to Dundee. Dundee was like 6 miles from where we was at. I had 3 weeks of school that I had to complete. We wasn't even in that house a month. It was like a bunch of Karens in the neighborhood. Um, it was like the house too small. The house was like 2,400 square feet. It was a 4 bedroom, 3 bath house. And it was like the house too small. They was just creating problems for no reason. They called the property manager and then called us and it was like, um, we've been getting news that y'all have too many people in the house. Um, so y'all gonna have to move. Wasn't in this house a month. I had I had 1 week left in school. So came home and my wife was trying to figure it out and she was like, well, I got some houses that I'm going to go see that Monday. We had already packed the house up and had packed the house up like a week before. So like my second week of school, we packed the house up again. We just moved, was in this house about 3 weeks, and had to move again because they was kicking us out the house. Um, my wife drove to Newberry that Monday, looked at a house. It was on like an acre of land. I didn't even get to see the house because I was in school. And her and the kids moved the whole house. They moved the whole house while I was still in school. I was locked in. I had to do what I had to do. So she moved. It was actually from Dundee to Newberry was a little bit over 100 miles. It was over 100 miles. Her and the kids moved the whole dang on house. Um, I had to take my car because I had a Roadmaster wagon, '05 Tahoe, and we had a 2000 Saturn wagon. But they moved the whole house. But I had to come back and get my car. Stressful, but and also, okay, the TDI trucking school in Sanford, right? They put you in a hotel Monday through Friday. You gotta go home that Friday afternoon. It's a 3-week program. I had to do that for 3 weeks. So from where I was living at, I would drive 60 miles or so there Monday morning, get there. check in my hotel, go to school, go to school Monday through Friday, and leave Friday afternoon and drive back home. I did it for 3 weeks, being away from my family. I was determined to get this CDL because I knew that by me getting this, it would change the job opportunity for me. Um, it was rough trying to get a job, especially when you got a record. Don't nobody really want to give you a chance. And even when you're trying, they still knock you down. They knock you down, man. Sometimes you grind in chaos. We was in the process of moving. People don't getting us kicked out the house. Had to move 100 miles away. Then I got to drive 60 miles and stay for 4.5 days and then drive back home. Dundee and getting put out the last week. The last week when they moved the house, I was almost done. Was almost. So I had to take my exam that Friday. I had already passed the pre-trip. All I had to do was I passed the pre-trip and I passed my road test. The only thing left I had to do was pass the backing. I had to pass the backing test. And I did everything but for the last test that I had to do, I was backing in between some cones and I couldn't see the cone. And it was like I only had one more chance to pull up and I was right there. All I had to do was stop and get out the truck and I would have been done. But I wasn't confident and I pulled up anyways. And when I pulled up, my dog shook his head. He was like, "Dang!" He was like, "Man, you had it, you had it." And I had to take the test, that backing test all over again. So I had to drive. It was like 120 miles from Sanford to Newberry that Friday, shaking my head, mad at myself. And but I could take it back again that Monday. I did it. I drove all the way. I went home and shook my head, and everybody was like, "Yeah, it's all right, it's all right." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I got it." Went back that Monday, passed it. Um, I was in my last week of CDL school when we got put out. That was the most aggravatingest thing that could happen. My wife and kids moved the whole house by themselves, 100 plus miles to Newberry. I still had to finish school. I couldn't give up. I was already in it. My family moved 100 miles away, and I still finished. I got my CDL. Came home. They had bought me a cake, decorated the house, and made it feel great. And it's great to have family that care about you and love you, got your back. That's motivation, and that's all I needed was them to just cheer me on. And I was gonna make sure that I went in and made sure that I achieved the things that I needed to do for my family to better my family situation. Um, in school, when you're in school and trucking school, you need to get your permit first. start studying. Then Virginia helps you get kind of dial it in. I also got a video about pre-trip inspection on my YouTube channel, the Welcome Legacy channel. Get your permit first. Start studying your pre-trip, general knowledge, air brakes, and combination vehicles. It's what you need to dial it in. Okay, when you're in school, a lot of trucking companies come there, and they try to recruit you straight out the gate. Depending on what you like, if you want to do flatbed, they got TMC, Swift, Schneider, Western Express, all those them to come. Ain't it doesn't matter where you start at, it's about where you finish at. Because it's a lot of good companies out there. I decided to go with J&R Shugel. J&R Shugel is dry van and refrigerator, based out of Minnesota. My first had them chickens out there. Never been on an airplane before. And I wasn't finna ride on no dang on bus for no 2 days or something like that. 2, 3 days, something like that to get to Minnesota. So they got me a cheap plane ticket, Southwest Express, Southwest Airline. My wife drove me to Jacksonville. I got on that damn plane, nervous as ever. Nobody told me about your ear popping when you go up in the air. To put some headphones on. They hollering about chew some gum. I was chewing some gum, but I ain't have no headphones. Goddamn, my head was hurt. But I got on, I had to transfer, I think, 3 planes. I flew from Jacksonville, went from Jacksonville to Tennessee, from Tennessee to Maryland, Ohio, and then Ohio to Minnesota. It was a whole bunch of flying. And when I got there, we just seen all that snow. It was snow in Ohio, it was snow in Tennessee, it was snow everywhere. But it was crazy how much snow it was. Ready. I was ready to do it. When I got there, they had everybody doing orientation. Orientation for like 3 days. They do sit you in the classroom and go over the rules and all that stuff there, and then they want you to get in the truck and drive the truck to see where you at. So it was about 20 of us in orientation. A couple guys from Chicago. A boy that I went to trucking school with, he went with me too. So we was out there, and the owner came out and he was like, "Okay, so who want to drive the truck?" Nobody said nothing. I said, "I'll drive that mother. I'll drive it." He said, "Okay, well, you come on." And then the guy that went to school with me, Saif, he say, "I'm going with you too, bro." So got in that damn truck. It was 40,000 pounds of cheese. Kenworth 660. He's like, "Okay, this where we gonna go. We gonna go around the corner. We're gonna do this here, and it's a dock around there, and I want you to back up to the dock." Said, "Okay." So I'm bending corners in it, driving like an old box Chevy, sliding that thing. I had got comfortable though. I had got comfortable driving, and I pulled up to the dock. I've been practicing this so much. I'm talking about in the truck driving school, when we got free time, all I did was alley dock. I just alley dock because I know that was the toughest thing for me to learn how to do was alley dock. But it's easier to do in a single cab than with cab with a sleeper. So when I pulled in, I angled myself at about a 45. And he was like, "Well, you ain't gonna be able to do it like that." I didn't even have to pull up. I wiggled that dang on thing right on in there first try. He say, "Oh, you good. I know who to put you with." He put me with an old guy, named Mr. Dave. Mr. Dave lived in Michigan. He has been driving for over 50 years on the road. It was like 70, I think 75, 76. And he didn't have to drive the truck at all. I got in that truck. Well, basically, he was coming down from Michigan from Michigan to Ohio. So I had to it was like, "Well, you gotta leave." They booked me another plane ticket, and I had to fly to Ohio. So I flew to Ohio, and, they picked me up from Ohio, and I met him at the Ohio terminal. And, from the Ohio my first dispatch was we had to go pick up a load. I think we picked up a load from, like, a craft, and, we went from there to Pennsylvania, from Ohio to Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania to New York, and then from New York, we stopped in New Jersey, picked up a load of Arizona tea, and took that to Minnesota. And then the majority of my routes was from Minnesota, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, just back and forth across the top. I'll go to Wisconsin, Minnesota, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, to the point where everywhere I was going was basically all up top. Um, I had been gone for like 2 months. This was right before Thanksgiving around this time, but I was just running back and forth. Mr. Dave wasn't driving. I was driving the whole time. You had to get at least 200 hours before you can get your own truck. So around Thanksgiving, they flew me home. They flew me home for Thanksgiving. My wife came and picked me up and had a good dinner. My mom and them came over, and I had to leave out that Monday, so I had a couple of days home. So I left from there, then I flew to Minnesota. Mr. Dave met me at Minnesota, and he was like, "Hey, so how you doing?" I was like, "I'm doing pretty good." He said, "Generally, when you drive for a little bit, then you take a couple days off, it's like you starting all over again." I say, "Nah, man, I got it. I got in that damn truck from Minnesota, got on Highway 35. It was a load I had to drop off in El Paso, Texas. It was like a 600 something mile load. I drove that truck damn near there that day. It was I did 606 miles. He said, "Damn." He said, "Man, you drive this truck like you've been driving this truck all your life." I was like, "Man, shit, I gotta get it." He say, "Man, he said, James, to be real with you, I don't think you need 200 hours of training. Um, on the way back, on the way back, I'm gonna call them and tell them that they need to just go ahead and put you in your own truck, and I'm gonna sign off on it." And I say, "Man, I appreciate that." That's what he did. That's what he did. He signed it. But we had to drop the load in Texas, then picked up another load. And from Texas, I had to go to Iowa. We dropped the load in Iowa, and they told me that they had a truck ready in Minnesota and Ohio, but I had to go to Minnesota. Well, go to Michigan to pick up a van and take that van to Ohio. So I drove from Texas to Iowa. We dropped the load, and we stayed there for a while. But I had like 5, 6 hours. It was about 7 hours of drive time. And I drove that shit all the way to Michigan. I drove to Michigan, we got to the terminal, I got out the terminal, I put my stuff in that van, and I drove that damn van from Michigan to Ohio. I did this all the same day. When I got to Ohio, it was like 8 o'clock. I think like 8 o'clock in the afternoon when I pulled up at the terminal. Um, they had me a truck there, a red truck that I was supposed to get. I was supposed to pick up a dry. I was supposed to pick up I was supposed to pick up a dry trailer. It was a dry van trailer, hook up to the dry van trailer, and take it to Kentucky and swap it out with another trailer. And I stayed there for a little bit. I got in that damn truck. Damn near every light on the dash was on in that truck, but they said that it was ready to go. I kept getting the message, yeah, it's ready to go. I said all the lights on the dash. Got in that motherfucker anyways. I was ready to get home. This was almost around Christmas time. I got in that truck. I got in that truck and I hauled ass. I drove that truck from Ohio to Kentucky to the drop yard, picked up the trailer. I stayed there. It was dark as hell when I got there. It was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I stayed there through the night, got up. They had like this little burger place. I went and got me a burger. My time reset. And I took that shit all the way to my home terminal, which was in Ellenwood, Georgia. And when I got there, I would say, man, you shouldn't have drove this truck. But I said they told me it was okay to drive, so they had to figure out me another truck for me to get. That was a red T660 KW. And that's when I got in my green. I got in the green um KW, drove home for Christmas. But while it was a process to learning to get my CDL, I got it. I wanted to get my real estate license because I was still into the wholesaling. I was still communicating with my mentor that helped me wholesale my first couple properties. And so I was like, I was going to get my real estate license. So the whole time I was in there, I was studying. I had wrote down me some real estate flashcards, learning the real estate vocab. I was learning that and listening to a lot of audiobooks. And I started doing the Real Estate Express. So I was doing a lot of learning in there. Trucking wasn't the dream, it was a bridge. I didn't ever see myself in a semi truck. Even as a kid, we always talked about driving semi truck. But being in that truck created an opportunity for me because once I got it, still get job offers to this day, even though I'm not even driving a truck. multiple phone calls, multiple text messages, multiple job opportunities for a truck driver. 2021, I purchased my first home. It was a 2-story, 3-bed, 2.5 bath, Palm Coast, Florida. First house I purchased. We went from renting to getting kicked out to me getting my CDL to buying our first home. Ability for my family. 2022, I had the time to get my real estate license, but I was already studying, I was already prepared, so I got them. I was building Welcome Legacy intentionally, step by step, my process. Discipline turned income into ownership. Discipline turned income into ownership. Discipline helped me get my CDL. It helped me even going through all those trying times, people kicking us out the house, having to move 100 miles or so away. Discipline and determination helped still secure that CDL to change my family's trajectory for their life and mine. Parents under pressure. This is just a message for the listener. Parents under pressure. Everything you go through life, no matter your circumstances, puts you through a lot of pressure. You're working a job, you barely getting by, you're under a lot of pressure. You can barely afford to pay your bills, but you're under a lot of pressure. You got a lot of kids you're dealing with, and you're dealing with car breakdowns, and these people not helping you on this side. It's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. Pressure busts pipes, and pressure also make diamonds. We got to go through that pressure to build strength within ourselves and within our mind to help us progress towards the things that we really need to do with ourselves to better our own situation, because ain't nobody coming to save us. We have to figure that out on our own. And even in mid transition, that's when things really start getting harder, start falling down, things that you've been building. And you feel like, why is this happening to me right now? Head up, keep pushing through it. The devil trying to stop you, distractions, trying to pull you back. Got to keep moving because you're almost at your breaking point. People choose to quit before they even get the goal. People choose to quit even before they get the goal. I be looking at a lot of these, be like some memes. It'd be a guy with a pick and a shovel. He'd be digging for diamonds or digging for gold, and he quit right before he get there. Literally quit right before he get there. And then the other guy buy him out and come there and hit one time and hit a jackpot. We don't know how close we is to achieving the things that we're trying to achieve. It could be right there, an inch, half an inch, or a foot. But if you quit before you get there, you're never gonna get it. If you're thinking about getting your CDL, comment roll, like, share, and subscribe. Chapter 13, well, episode 13 will be on the way. Thank y'all for watching.